Hey, what the hell's going on, you guys? It is Tubo Player NegativeAE, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry. Now, we are on the final chapter of Higurashi. The main character has already died, so I'm not sure what's going to go on here. But, without further ado, let's just jump into it. Maybe not. No. Did I survive? Each sensation I felt led to a new, different one awakening. A few body parts hurt a lot. The skin over a bunch of my joints was torn, turned blue or red or oozing blood. I could tell it was my bones that were in pain from the agony I felt whenever I moved. I looked up and saw how high the bridge was from which I had fallen was. Considering that I dropped from there, it was a miracle I could open my eyes again. Right next to me was a broken upside down car seat, which I guess some pranksters had brought here. Maybe this thing had been conveniently lying right under me, allowing me to escape instant death. Miraculous. Of course, I didn't know whether this miracle was fortunate or unfortunate. I had failed to die, and now I was still stuck in this insane world. How long had I been unconscious for? The sun was high in the sky, so it only looked like 1 or 2 hours had passed. But my body's sluggishness didn't make it feel at all like so short a time had gone by. Mentally, it felt like I'd been asleep here for a decade. The more feeling returned to my body, the more pain flooded in. It hurt so much it would have been better not to have woken up. I needed to get to a doctor. Yeah, the coach's clinic. The term coach's clinic brought back memories one after another. Memories I wish I hadn't recalled. Satoko was no longer on the bridge. She would have returned to Hinamizawa by now. And she would put on some clothes, go to the clinic, get a checkup, report on how crazy I had seemed. The police were waiting for me without a doubt. This time, would they find out for real that I'd killed her uncle and arrest me? Or would they just send me to a mental institution like I thought they might? Still, I didn't care which it was. Please, somebody stop all this pain. Yeah, at this point I would go to the mental institution, right? It's like a good deal to go to a mental institution. I mean, besides the fact that Rena's probably going to show up and murder you, the straitjacket, probably what's going to happen, let's be honest. You can boil me after that, whatever you want. I began to walk unsteadily, just limping along. I went downstream and then through an animal trail-like path into the woods. I walked haphazardly, searching for a path I knew. Eventually, I finally came across a familiar road, and set off towards the clinic. Not to my house, but to the clinic, which had treated me like a lunatic. It was hot and humid. There was no wind, and the air was stagnant. For a while now, I've been smelling the terrible stench of burned eggs, and it made my face scrunch up. And then at last, I noticed something. Footsteps. Oh. The first time I'd heard Hinamizawa be so utterly silent. When I thought back, it seemed like birds always chirped in the morning, cicadas always cried loudly in the afternoon, and the Higurashi always rose up in the chorus in the evening. Always something to hear. Couldn't hear a single insect. The only thing I could hear was the rustling of the wind brushing the tree tops. I'd never experienced this sort of quiet before. Even the only sound coming from the trees lacked life somehow. The trees were yellow and many leaves were spread on the ground, despite it being too early for autumn. Even the weeds that had been growing so persistently at the side of the road had yellowed, browned, and lost their vigor. Only the sunlight itself was the June of Hinamizawa I knew. And yet it seemed like the seasons had switched all of a sudden. Looking at the fallen leaves and rotting weeds led me to spot a few small insects turned on their backs. They weren't moving. They were corpses. I looked closer to see the insect corpses scattered all around, like a child had collected them as samples and strewn them all about. The stench, what was it? It was terrible, like burned eggs, combined with all the bug corpses and leaves falling from the trees in summer. Had someone sprayed herbicides or pesticides around here? Even at school, we apparently fumigate. They call it pest disinfection or something, once or twice a year. I hadn't run into anybody despite how bright it was outside. It was mid-afternoon and yet I felt like I was sauntering about at midnight. Well, with this smell, nobody would want to be walking around outside. Just, what was this anyway? There was no sound, no noise, not even a breath. Hinamizawa was silent. School would come into view right after turning this corner. And yet I couldn't hear any commotion at all. None of the shouts or grunts that children always made. It was simply quiet. Just as pretending to ignore the silence had grown intolerable, I saw the school. Finally, I heard something. It was the sound of a few trucks. There were a few very tall trucks parked in the schoolyard idling. 10 workers in raincoats were unloading things from their trunks. It's hot and humid even in my casual clothing. I couldn't imagine how unbearable that must have been. Then I remembered. Our school was rented from the Forest Service office building, wasn't it? It wasn't strange at all for Forest Service trucks to be doing some kind of work in the schoolyard. Besides, what did Forest Rangers do anyway? Felt bad for them having to work in such heat, with such a stench about. They were taking colorful cargo at this truck and lining it up in the schoolyard. They were containers, fairly large ones, inside multicolored patchwork bags. Heavy too, they were being carried in pairs. They lined them up very neatly like a tuna at a Riverside market. Like tuna at Riverside Market. Several dozens, hundreds of tuna were completely filling up the fairly wide schoolyard. I forgot my pain for a little while, captivated by this big forest ranger job I'd never seen before. As I stood there watching in a daze, the people in raincoats working on the other side noticed me. One of them pointed me out and they shouted a few things back and forth. I thought they might yell at me for getting in their way, so I decided to leave post-haste. But then 2 trucks drove up behind me. I stepped aside as they entered the schoolyard. Sheets covered their trunks, but I could tell they were completely full. As they passed, there was an awful smell that made me want to choke. It wasn't the same bird egg smell as before, but an even worse one, like rotten crab meat. But on dead bodies? I had been enshrouded in one terrible stench after another all day. Then certain white letters emblazoned on the side of the passing trucks caught my eye.
Oi, Kimi. どこから入ってきた?
Someone stabbing on the shoulder from behind. I turned around. A canopied SDF Jeep was parked there. And the SDF has been in the last two visual novels that I played. The Self Defense Force or whatever. It was in Steins Gate too. Carrying a compressed air cylinder. He didn't look normal. There wasn't an inch of exposed skin anyway.
どこから入ってきた？て。
I tried to talk. I stretched a wound on my head. Made the SDF people exchange glances. I couldn't see their faces through the mask, but they seemed surprised.
君はひなみ様の住所と名前は言えるか？
一応ここに名前は前原圭一。あ、住所は獅子骨市ひなみ沢村。
本部応答願います。402生存者発見。繰り返す。402生存者発見。場所は営林署入り口前。生存者は全身に外傷を認められるも自立歩行可能。これより保護し本部へ送致します。
I was prepared to go along with the police, but the SDF, I couldn't help but think this seemed a little much. They urged me into the back of the Jeep, and then they told me to put on this gigantic gas mask. I did so, and one of the troops followed around with it, strapping it tightly onto me. It was heavy and hard to see out of, hot and difficult to breathe. Just looking at the world through the lens made it lose its sense of reality. My breathing sounded like some sort of giant monster through the mask. At this point, I had no idea what was happening. I have a few theories. With much trepidation, I asked the trooper, adjusting my mask.
すみません。何かあったんですか？
君はどこにいたんだ？何をしていたんだ？
ずっと山に入ったところにある吊り橋、河原で、多分今日が何曜日かもよくは。
今日は昭和58年の6月に水曜日だ。
That surprised me. Okay. So a full day passed.
改めて聞きますけど、何があった？なんで自衛隊が何かの訓練ですか？
より首相官邸で行われました。記者団からの自衛隊の災害出動が迅速に行われなかったことが前例のない未曾有の大災害に直結したのではないかとの質問に対し、奥野官房長官は次のようにコメントしました。
でありまして、県知事からの派遣要請を受けて迅速に対応したものと思っております。
とこのように述べ、要請を受けてからの自衛隊の出動は迅速であった。むしろ県側の事態把握に遅れがあった可能性を、そもそも自衛隊の派遣を要請した県知事は災害発生から前例のない大災害であることをいつ認識できたのか、そして災害派遣要請までにいわゆるお役所的なロスタイムが生じ、被害の拡大を招いたのではないか、今後の究明が待たれています。首相官邸より報道部の尾形記者がお送りしました。さて、ここでもう一度災害発生からの行政の対応を振り返ります。
In the middle of the night between June 21st and June 22nd, a large-scale disaster broke out in Hinamizawa, Shishiban. The details have not yet been investigated, but there was an eruption of volcanic gas somewhere in the Hinamizawa area. The gas was relatively heavy as it spewed out and it began to flow. That flow went down a small river and headed directly into Hinamizawa village. After a few hours, it covered the entire region. It happened in the middle of the night, 2 to 4 a.m. Every home and household in the village was afflicted. With most of the residents asleep, it is thought that all died without noticing the crisis. The catastrophe striking the middle of the night caused its detection to come too late. But there was still one small opportunity to have noticed it. 3 a.m. A news dealer's shop in Okinomiya sent a vehicle carrying the morning newspaper to its branch office in Hinamizawa. Usually the shop would be contacted upon the vehicle's arrival, but this morning that didn't happen. The news dealer's shop made repeated calls but got no response. The shopkeeper sent his eldest son to check on things, but they lost contact with him as well.
非常に悔やまれています。この時点で警察か消防への連絡があったなら事態はもっと改善されていた可能性が高いでしょう。少なくとも村全滅という惨劇は免れた可能性があります。
6 a.m., residents in areas in the same region began continuously calling 119 to report the smell of rotten eggs, dizziness, nausea, and headaches. Fire department received the same reports, all from the same confined region. They speculated a truck loaded with many chemicals may have gotten into an accident and reported it to the local police. 6:30. Contact was lost with a patrol car on duty in the Namizawa area after the officer reported the smell of rotten eggs. Local police considered the possibility of a large-scale disaster involving highly lethal gas and reported it to the prefecture and the prefectural police at 7:15 a.m. 8 a.m. The governor was traveling to nearby prefectures for inspection, so in accordance with regulations, the prefectural environmental disaster prevention chief was provisionally escalated to the director general and set up a disaster countermeasures office. However, without contacting the governor, the countermeasures came too late.
近年市民団体によって指摘されていますが、議員待遇者との視察旅行は完全に親睦を目的にしたもので主演三昧だと噂されています。近い筋の話では知事は徹夜で飲んだくれて泥酔状態で就寝していたそうです。環境部長から電話があった時も泥酔していて全く取り合ってもらえなかったのだそうです。知事は言うに及びませんが、知事不在時には本部長を務めることになる環境部長にも怠慢の責任が問われるでしょう。また県としても大災害を想定したマニュアルが用意されておらず、対応が常に後手に回ってしまったのが致命的でした。
At 12 a.m. on the advice of the prefectural police, the governor requested a disaster relief mission from the SDF. By the time the chemical defense unit, equipped with protective equipment, arrived on scene, 8 hours had already passed since the incident's outbreak.
とにかく深夜の就寝中というのが不運でした。同じ災害でも日中に起こっていれば全く違ったでしょう。
So in the end, Satoko kind of saved me. I mean, she tried to kill me, but I got saved by her. Because I would have been dead if I would have been in the town, right? Had the same disaster occurred during the day, it likely would have been different. There were over 1,000 victims. The SDF is still confirming the situation on the ground, but their results are predicted only to increase that
スタ
number.
ジオにはゲストとして火山性の災害にお詳しい地学博士の藤原先生にお越しいただいております。先生、
火口部に限定して申し上げれば決して珍しいことではありません。火山大国日本にはたくさんの活火山がありますが、それらの火口部は
では今回南沢村を襲った卵のフラン臭のするガスというのも
卵のフラン臭という特徴から、おそらく火山ガスの中でも事故例の多い硫化水素によるものだと考えられます。高い濃度であれば
南沢村は火山の火口部とは全く縁遠い場所にあるわけですが、そういった
詳しいことが分かっていないのでまだはっきりとしたことは申し上げられませんが、外国の例で温泉の地下のマグマだまりが。
先生、ありがとうございました。今防衛庁から発表があったものです。防衛庁の森川さん。
はい、防衛庁です。先ほど防衛庁は南沢村ガス災害の主原因となった火山性ガスについて陸上自衛隊科学学校での分析の結果、二酸化炭素と硫化水素の混合ガスによる。
森川さん、そのガスは依然として噴出。
現在南沢村で救助活動に入っている 自衛隊第9師団の報告として、ガスの濃度は徐々に薄まりつつある。ですが依然、ひなみざわ村地区は危険な状態にあることには変わりなく。
防衛庁から報道部の森川記者がお伝えしました。続きまして、避難を余儀なくされている沖宮地区住民の模様をリポートします。現在避難所の一つとなって。
何ですかそれ。
Inside the jeep, clamoring and bouncing along the rough road, none answered my muttered question. An unprecedented catastrophe had destroyed Hinamizawa in a single night? Where was Hinamizawa village anyway? Someplace deep in the mountains, right? Names of places I've heard on the radio were always like that. They're always places I'd never heard of, much less knew the locations of. Wiped out? What does that mean? They don't usually say how many died. Don't they usually say how many died and how many were injured? How many people were alive? Where did everyone evacuate to? Eventually we came into view of Coach's clinic. For the first time I saw the flag of Japan hanging from a pole outside. Japan's circular sun hung down as though exhausted. Many SDF tents were set up in the clinic's big parking lot, and many strict security vehicles were parked there as well. They saw the jeep coming. Men in white clothing and gas masks came running out of the clinic, frantic, carrying a stretcher.
もう大丈夫だよ。具合は歩けるかい？
歩けます。あ、いてて。
Because of my hours, they forced me to lay on the stretcher anyway. People who seemed like doctors were looking at me and notifying others of my condition via radio.
外傷多数、骨折もしくは内臓損傷、頭部に大きな裂傷、瞳孔正常、眼底に出血なくも脳内損傷の可能性は否定できず。
And then from the clinic entrance, people lying on stretchers were brought outside to replace me. Judging by their clothing, they were from Hinamizawa. That's how I knew they were victims. They brought stretchers in front of a truck. Two troops holding shoulders and legs, like some kind of baggage, picked them up and threw them into the trunk. In the trunk of the truck, people's bodies piled in heaps. They were just like baggage. That told me they were already nothing but shells. At that moment, I remembered all those colorful sacks filling the trunks, and them lined up in the schoolyard like a fish market. Hundreds of empty shells. Corpses. Yes. Indeed.
バカ！犠牲者を粗末に扱うな。あれは村の住民だぞ。
Troops carrying the sacks answered me with a humble salute. The world didn't need this insane version of Hinamizawa. My final wish again. It was granted. Okay. Motherfucker. I didn't understand anything anymore. This man was like, yeah, that was me. I wished away Hinamizawa. That was my final wish. None of it mattered. I wished, I cursed, and then it happened the next day. And please, tomorrow morning, let me die. I knew he was gonna pull that shit. The insane night. It's still going on. Please. Please end it already.
おい、意識が損失したぞ。患者の名前を呼びかけろ。早く。
前原君、聞こえるかい？聞こえるなら瞬きでいい。前原君、前原君、前原君。
Suddenly the world didn't matter to me anymore. Like hate hitting that button. I wasn't interested in their
呼吸が停止
cries.
したぞ。起動確保。 人工呼吸絶対に生かせ。畜生畜生、もうこれ以上死者はごめんだぞ。死んでもいい命なんかないんだ。殺すな殺すな。
Nobody deserves to die. Those words came from his heart. They were so commonplace, and they soaked into my heart too. Maybe it was a mistake to take someone's life, even if it was to save Satoko. If this was the price I had to pay, this horrible tragedy, then this is a little much, Oyashiro-sama. Why? Why did you never punish me? Come to think of it, Satoko said something. Oyashiro-sama's actual curse never goes for the target at first, that kills everyone they love before that. Oyashiro-sama's curse. It was a convenient excuse I told myself at the very end. That it wasn't my curse that destroyed it, but Oyashiro-sama's. Given that I was in a stretcher, this next bit might have been obvious. But last of all, I realized one thing. Yeah, today, I had not heard those footsteps following me, even once. And now I was liberated. The cries of the Higurashi I couldn't have been hearing filled my mind. Their tearful ensemble was the only funeral march I had. June 22nd, 1983, early morning. Here we go. A widespread disaster occurred in Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone Prefecture. Gotta read fast. Volcanic gas, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide erupted from Onagafuchi Swamp, one of the Hinamizawa area's water sources, and it spread throughout the village. There were 1,200 victims. 20 have gone missing. The catastrophe was unprecedented, forcing local governments to evacuate approximately 600,000 people. According to later investigations, magma pools and hot springs were uncovered directly under Onagafuchi Swamp, and the gas that gushed from it determined to be the cause of the disaster. In addition, directly after the incident broke out, many came forth claiming this disaster was the curse based on the Hinamizawa village legends for sparking a wave of chaos. There were apparently local legends of curse spreading miasma, destroying the village, and some scholars believe a similar gas disaster may have happened in the past and remained part of those legends. More extreme periodicals suggested that this was an extension of the freak death incidents that had been happening in the recent years in Hinamizawa village, stirring interest and theories about this curse of Oyashiro-sama. In addition, relatives to those in Hinamizawa village and escaped the disaster complained sickness afterwards and were hospitalized. Some even died of unknown causes, encouraging such extreme opinions. On top of that, several relatives professing to be possessed by Oyashiro-sama's curse committed suicide in strange ways, and the impact the disaster has on the owner can no longer be ignored. Wild visions of terrible toxic gas sneaking around in the middle of the night, killing people, spilled across the country, causing a steady stream of people complaining of insomnia, difficulty breathing, headaches, dizziness, etc. Some who identified themselves as being obsessed by it began doing odd things, mistakenly attributed by the tabloid press, but afterwards some even began mental issues arising from Hinamizawa tragedy, Hinamizawa syndrome. The Hinamizawa village region, the object of all kinds of rumors and speculations, is currently closed off, and even flying overhead is prohibited. The prohibition was at one point undone as the result of the decrease of the gas intensity, but that autumn another gas burst was confirmed, leading to the area being condoned off again. Word is that the area is sound asleep, all traces blah blah blah. Sure. Only one survivor remains, Keiichi Maebara, age 1 blank, who lived a blank Hinamizawa at the time of the rescue. People had trouble breathing and fluid buildup, but as a life saved, he was kept alive. He is currently in the general hospital somewhere in the prefecture. The press have been asking for him for some time, but all interviews are being refused. What did he see in Hinamizawa? What happened between June 21st and June 22nd in Hinamizawa village? Today he remains silent, unwilling to speak of it. What? Possibly committed suicide, 619. Strangled to death in the mountains, 19. Burnt to a crisp. Went missing in investigation. Investigation continues. Went missing. Katsuya? Okay. Committed suicide, probably murdered Rika. Rena died. Mion died. Went missing. Satoko. Ooh, went missing. Died. Everybody died. Died. Shion committed suicide at the victim's hospital. Jesus. She committed suicide? Attempted suicide at the victims, but he lived. Diagnosed with severe mental disorder. Living his days in peace. Alright, so we got like an actual credits. Does that mean this is where it like ended, and then they like continued it? Like, what's going on? Mini games, BT. Personally, I'd rather blah 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 blah. I wondered how it wasn't understand. Wait. Oh, dude, that's. Wait, I could have read that. There were some words that I could kind of read at the end there. I thought it was just nonsense gibberish. No, you can straight read that. 2003. Well, they kicking it into late game. Ichi's still alive too. Like, they kept him alive. An elderly couple living in Osaka Prefecture discovered a cassette tape while organizing the possessions of their son, who passed away 8 years ago. Years later, in 2003, they began to organize their son's remains. Is this Keiichi's parents? 1775 to 1989, the deceased had experience working as a journalist for a photography periodical, and this tape is thought to have been created during that time. Label on the tape read 11/28, 1983, Keiichi Maebara. Ooh, I like this. Okay. It is thought the tape was recorded during an interview with Keiichi Maebara, the only survivor of the Great Hinamizawa disaster that occurred in June of 1983. As the only person who lived through the disaster on the night of June 21st, shrouded in mystery, many interested parties attempted to question him, but he never once spoke physically to anyone in a public place. Therefore, the tape caused quite a stir, possibly being of extreme high value. Can I listen to it? Click. Okay, it's gonna let me listen.
なんだか録音されてると思うとすごく喋りに
気にしない。ほら、こうすれば録音してるのも気にならないでしょ。じゃあ始めるね。まず最初の質問から。圭一君はあの大災害の夜
神社から裏に抜けてずっと林道を進んで吊り橋があるんですよ。山に入る少し前にそこから落ちて。
それは大災害の夜、つまり
いいえ、21日の火曜日の朝。それで次の日の昼間に目を覚ま。
どうしてそんなところに？誰もが持つ疑問だけど、当日は平日で、しかも落ちた橋はざっくばらんに言って、君が大災害村から逃げる途中に吊り橋。
冗談じゃないです。勝手なことを言わないでください。
私も随分ひどい言い分だと思うよ。気を悪くしないでね。さて、次に圭一君が落ちたという吊り橋なんだけど、神社の裏から林道を抜けて至る吊り橋というのは
多分俺もあんまり行かないところなんで。
そんなに行かないところにどうして平日のそれでこの君が気絶していたという河原なんだけど、実はそれはありえないという。
ありえない。またありえないですか。まだ どうしてありえないと？
火山ガスが発生したのは鬼ヶ淵という沼なのは、それで学者の先生が緻密な模型を使って、例の火山ガスってのは空気を地形に沿って低いところへ低いところへ流れ込む水みたいな性質があるんだってさ。それで発生源の鬼ヶ淵沼からそういうガスが、そしたらさ、君が気絶していたという流れ込むんだよ、ガスが。
よく言ってる意味が
つまり君が本当にこの河原で気絶していたのだ。だからつまり君がここで気絶をしていた可能性は否定された。もっとざっくばらんに言うよ。私はね、君が嘘をついているんじゃないかなって思う。君は大災害の時、安全なところに身を潜めていて、ガスが薄れた頃合いをどうかな？図星かな？
How would that be the case?
別に。仮にそうだったとしても。
驚かないとはどういう意味だい？
あんたもさっき言いましたよね。ありえないって。あのひなみ沢ではありえないことなんていくらでも起こるんです。あそこじゃいないはずの場所に人がいる。死んだはずの人が生きてる。そんなこと珍しいことじゃない。まさか俺自身が死んだはずなのに生きているってやつを立証しようとはね。
じゃあ、ケイイチ君、話を変えるよ。あの大災害が、ひなみ沢連続開始事件の5年目のたたりではないかという話についてはどう思う？
いや、それはないですね。5年目のたたりは俺ですから。
何のこと？
何のことって、あんたの話に対する答えですよ。あの大災害は、まあ、言っても信じないでしょうけど、俺が起こしたの。俺がね、こんな村、
そりゃ、豪快な話だね。
公開？そういう面白い言い方もあるんですね。高野さんも俺が殺したし、監督も大石も俺が殺した。あの時の俺にはね、何か神がかり。そう。例えるなら。
足音って、なんだいそれ。
あんた、足音を聞いた。ペタペタ、ヒタヒタ。あんたも今日からは歩いてるとき、急に立ち止まってみると面白いですよ。それでね、自分がちゃんと立ち止まったにもかかわらず、足を気をつけた方がいいです。
そうだね。
そんなに俺、面白いこと話してますか？あんた、さっきからヘラヘラと笑ってばかりですね。監督と同じだ。俺のことを同情したり、話を聞いたりしてるふりをしながら、その実。
そんなことはないよ。
いや、あんたの目は監督と同じだ。あの日以来、もう足音は聞こえない。だから俺にはもう、あんな恐ろしい力は残ってない。
I like how this I just want to mention this bottom part down here. It's like, is this? Some people still have doubts that this is Keiichi. Like, get the fuck out of here.
ここでもう一度俺に不愉快な話ばかりあんたそうだな今回は高野さんは焼け死にだったからじゃああんたは逆に水に溺れて死ぬってのはどうだい絶好調だった当時の俺なら次の朝までには必ず死んでるさてあんたは何日後に水で死ぬかなあんたも気をつけろよ俺ごときにたたり殺されるな
Okay. Well. Wow, it's been 42 minutes. It doesn't feel like 42 minutes when the game is as intense as it is. Alright, so I guess we're gonna go to the kind of like fourth wall breaking section where they kind of talk about how like, oh, they're just you know what's weird is it feels like they're all like just actors just playing a role. And it kind of like it does its job of like lessening the tension that just kind of happened. So that's the end. We finished the third one. I bet you they're gonna bring up points in the after story that I didn't think of, but it's interesting. So when I was reading the credits, so there's a lot of things that happen in the credits. Oh, because they had a credit section. And I was reading everything that happened. One thing that caught my eye was that Satoko went missing. And everybody else was kind of like died. Satoko missing. Odd. Very odd. Makes me think that maybe the gas was maybe man-made. And they were talking about how like it's very unusual for the gas to come out from a hot spring, but it can. And how they were kind of using that to justify it. But, I don't know, Satoko seemed real mad at Hinamizawa and the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Who knows? It also could have been the curse. There's a lot of, like, coincidental deaths that Keiichi had wished for, and then immediately they happened. So, yeah. And Keiichi went crazy. That was kind of what happened this chapter. He was, like, mad crazy. So like I don't know what was real, what wasn't real. That's the thing, right? It's like as soon as the Watanagashi happens, it's kind of like up to you to decide what's real, what's not real, you know, because they haven't given you any rules. This stupid visual novel is not giving me any rules on how the demons work. They've just been like, maybe this person's a demon. They've done a good job at deflecting. Like, oh, maybe this person's crazy or a demon and or a murderer and or not real, actually. You know? Like, what happened to the uncle? The uncle also went missing at the also. That's weird. I don't know how that works or why that works. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happened. Oh yeah, so then on top of that, on top of in the credits, it's saying that Satoko and both Yojos like went missing. Um, there's also the fact that in the credits there's a lot of stuff that I couldn't read or that I just dismissed as gibberish for some reason. I was like, oh, it's a Japanese game, you know, like oh, there's gonna be like some weird words and stuff, whatever. And then like at the end, I was like, wait, I can kind of make out what they're talking about or what they're saying, and it was weird. And so that makes me kind of want to go back and watch the end again in like slow mo on YouTube and just kind of like see what's going on since this is being uploaded. I just want to kind of see what those credits were trying to say. As for how the story ended, I didn't expect. I just fully expected to die and like the ending be like Hinamizawa, Shishibone Prefecture. Today we found a dead boy in the river. You know, I fully expected that kind of ending. So for it to turn around and kind of be like, oh, you know, the world is over, the world ended, or the world being Hinamizawa. Hinamizawa ended, and that's what happened, and you're the lone survivor. Um, I don't know. I didn't expect it, so I don't know necessarily what to say about what happened this chapter. I mean, obviously there was some crazy shit that happened that never got solved. We never saw the uncle ever. Ever did we see the uncle. So I mean, there's a couple of things that could have happened. Satoko could have been lying. I don't know why she would. Um, Rena was crazy this whole chapter. She wasn't nice at all this chapter. She was really nice in the second chapter. So it went like Rena crazy. Rena's not crazy at all. Second chapter. Rena's super crazy again. So it's kind of like up and down with this chick. Mion's kind of just like crazy sometimes. She's always had that like kind of like I'm kind of crazy sometimes vibe in every chapter. More so in the second chapter than the first. Well, I mean, first and second she was pretty crazy. This one she was kind of tame, but you could tell that they were both crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just kind of like rambling on about what has happened so far. What else happened? What else happened that I can? I mean, we survived. That's weird, right? And it's weird that I would wish for my death in the morning, and then not get the wish until what did they say, like November 30th is when he died. So he lived for like a full half or full he lived until like almost the end of the year. So I don't know. But he did wish for that guy to die, and then 15 years later he died. It was weird. I'm excited to see what happens in the next one. I imagine it's gonna start before the Watanagashi, yeah, like it always does. And then it's everything that previously happened is gonna happen except for me killing Satoko's uncle. And then we're gonna continue with another disaster, blah blah blah. And then at the end, we're finally gonna get the full story, and we're gonna figure out why all these stories are starting from different points or different spots, if that makes any sense. And I think that's how this is gonna play out. I don't know the exact what's gonna play out, but I know the structure, or I think I know the structure of how this game is gonna go, right? And I've said this before. Starts out, doesn't tell you much information. Slowly, you learn little and little more information. At the very end, they're gonna tell you why all these stories seem random, but they're actually connected in some way. Who knows? It sounds like there's actual demons. With this chapter, I think I'm more on the side of demons. Coming into this chapter, I was on the side of mentalness. Mentalness is that's what I'm gonna call it. I think that's the word I'm going with. don't quit. Fight me, please. So first chapter, demons. Definitely demons. There's definitely demons. Second chapter, okay, maybe it's some mental things. Maybe some mental things are going on. Maybe people are crazy. Third chapter, there's demons. There's definitely demons. That's just where I'm at. That's just where my mind's at. I killed the guy. He wasn't dead. And in the okay, let's think about it, right? You kill a guy in a world where there are not demons, right? Let's think about this. Rena. So my main thing. So if I'm trying to justify this with mental disorders, Rena followed Keiichi, saw Keiichi bury the body, saw where he buried the body, got picked up by Takano-san. Rena dug up the body, picked up the body, and moved it somewhere else. Re-put back the dirt, and then proceeded to get everybody to tell a lie that Keiichi was at the festival. And that Satoko's uncle is still alive. Just so I would go crazy and all that shit would happen. Obviously, Rena knew that shit would happen because she's the one, she's like, go to the clinic, you know? And that's kind of what set that whole emotion or that whole shit off. And then I guarantee you one of them killed Rika-chan, either Mion or Rena. I don't know. I just think that that's what happened. I think that like if I think that there's demons because for that to happen and there not to be demons, it would mean or not to be not supernatural shit happening. There would need to be some sort of town group psychoticness. You know what I'm saying? Either that or we could chalk this all up to Keiichi being crazy. We could chalk this all up. How easy would it be to just say that this whole chapter was just Keiichi being crazy? How easy would it be? It would be. It would be very, very, very easy to say that. Like, oh, Keiichi just went crazy in the third chapter. Third chapter was useless. Right? Why would they? In my mind, I can't understand why a writer... I mean, and I don't know this for sure. It could very well be that he was just crazy. But I'm thinking about this, the storytelling wise, he devoted a whole chapter to this. This whole chapter was me killing Satoko's uncle and then them lying to me about it. We never saw Satoko's uncle. He was definitely dead. He definitely died. We just don't know where he was put. I think I'm okay. I am of the strong opinion that we killed Satoko's uncle. That everybody lied about it. And that everybody said that we were there. There's some demon shit happening. You devoted a whole chapter to a person that's crazy? Why? It's either Keiichi being crazy has something to do with the story, or there's actual demons. And I believe that there's actual demons. There's no way that this third chapter exists and there's not some supernatural shit going on. I'm sorry. Like, don't at me. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. I've been recording for about an hour. What we're gonna do on the next episode of this is we're gonna finish this chapter out. I don't know. Doesn't it usually take about 2 episodes to finish the extra, or does it take 1 episode to finish the extra? Someone let me know in the comments, because I'll try to get it done in 1 episode. If we end up going longer and it's like 2 hours of the extra content, then we will we will split it into 2 episodes, but I would like to keep it into 1 episode. I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me on this chapter, on this ride. It'll be a couple days. I mean, we're gonna obviously do the extra like fourth wall break. Oh, they're all just actors, you know, thing that we usually go through. So we'll still be doing that, but then after this is gonna be a break. There's gonna be a decent break in between the two. I gotta get the new game downloaded and then the voice pack for the game installed. I also got to update my playlists. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but my playlists are way out of date. I gotta like hire somebody just to do playlists for me, because because I know it's like easy to just put them in. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that right now. It's easy to just put them in the playlist when you upload them, but I always forget to do that, and then my playlist gets super outdated. And I'm like, oh, did I put the last one in the playlist? I don't want to put this one in the playlist if I didn't put the last one in the playlist. I'm talking about random shit now. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe, because we will be playing this whole game if you're down. You're down to marathon this with me. I appreciate all of you that are already marathoning this with me. Insult Nerd. I appreciate you two being here. There's a bunch of other people. I don't know if Lexiville's still watching. What's that? Nagato, I think is watching this as well. There's a bunch of people. If I like don't remember your name off the top of my head, I'm sorry. I know there's like 2 others that I'm missing, so screw me, right? But yeah, this has been one hell of a ride so far. This has been one of the longest intros I've ever done. It's because I ramble forever, and if you don't stop me, I'm just gonna talk to myself for years. Like, that's what I do. I just talk to myself, and it's weird. I need to stop. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode of this, where we go over the fourth wall thing. And peace out, you guys.